Right. Hello, hello.
Good evening. I'm Father Nathan Humphrey, the rector of St. Thomas's here on Street. So glad that you could be with us for this, our, what is it, fourth, I think, in our Friends of Music series. That means we've got the last one coming right up next week. So thank you for being here if you've been here for the previous ones. I'd like to recognize as well that we've got lots of wonderful people involved in this effort. And great thanks are owed to our co-chairs, Larry Beckwith here and Molly Johnson. They've been spearheading the entire effort with this particular series being Larry's brainchild. I'm so grateful to them for their creative support and leadership, as well as the support of others here tonight, including Michael and Lydia Rowland, Crystal Saylor, and Julia Armstrong. We're also very pleased to have among us today our brand new director of music, Elizabeth Anderson, who's in the narthex. She was announced just 2 Sundays ago as our full-time director of music as of July 1, and director of music immediately. The purpose of Friends of Music is to branch out beyond the usual suspects to form partnerships in the community with neighbors and performing arts organizations to offer a concert series, thoughtful events like this one, and to support our growing music program in the parish, which will soon include an outreach initiative to girls and boys ages 7 through 17, thanks to the fact that we have called Manuel Pedazza as our full-time assistant director of music, effective July 1. These boys and girls will, we hope, want to sing and make music of the highest standard, all while having a lot of fun at the same time. In fact, one of my oft-repeated sayings is that what we do here at St. Thomas's should be about serious fun, having serious fun, because we're delving into questions of ultimate meaning. Fun because while we take those questions seriously, we don't take ourselves too seriously. After all, if you're deadly serious, you're not going to be life-giving. And finding abundant life in community is what this is all about, what St. Thomas's is all about. And in order to find that life, we have to show up and pitch in. So we welcome the gift of your time and talent as well as your financial support, because as I said before, you don't need a big bank account to make a big impact. You simply have to show up and connect. And this evening session in particular is about the ways in which we connect with each other through music. So without further ado, I will introduce Larry, and we'll get on with our program this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father. Thank you. As Father Humphrey said, we have been involved in this series, which the overarching theme is music and spirituality, and it's a series that's been going on Wednesday evenings during Lent, and we've had a wonderful range of fascinating guests, and tonight is no exception. I want to draw your attention, just before I introduce our guests tonight, I want to draw your attention to next week's presentation by John Aberger, who is the artistic director of the Toronto Bach Festival, and he's going to be giving a rather formal lecture on the cantatas of Johann Sebastian Bach, and we have drawn a kind of playful connection between St. Thomas's Church here and St. Thomas's Church in Leipzig, where Bach arrived in 1723, so 300 years ago this year. But that's next week. Tonight, I am really delighted to introduce my friend Waleed Abdulhamid, who is a multi-talented musician and plays 20 different instruments, and is a teacher both at Humber College and the University of Toronto Faculty of Music, and specializes in a very wide range of music at a very high level. And we're going to have a conversation tonight, but before we get into it, Waleed's going to start things off with a song. So welcome, Waleed Abdulhamid.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's a great pleasure to be here. And when you start talking about Bach, I thought, I hope they're not expecting me like doing anything about Bach. I'm going to take you on a little trip to Africa. There is a word called jambo. Jambo means welcome. Jambo, jambo bwana, habari gani? Mizuri sana. Say jambo, jambo bwana, habari gani? Mizuri sana. Wakende wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Wakende wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Kenya nchi nzuri hakuna matata. Lara gina mo hakuna matata. Lara tagani na dei hakuna matata. Lara tiga dubungumbe hakuna matata. Lara nega zuma gadina dede. Lara tiga dum. Loma gade. Hey, lana mo gwenze. Lara tudu gwezande. Lara tidang. Makiran jambu. Lara gadime. Lara dugumukuze. Lara tiding. Hey, jambu. Thank you. That's actually jambo mean welcome in Swahili, and that's the first word if you ever visit any Swahili or Kiswahili, place in Africa. And Swahili is probably one of the spoken languages in part of East Africa, Central Africa, like places like Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South of Sudan, and Uganda. And once upon a time they were trying to make it as official languages in Africa, but some of the president in North Africa, they said no, which we know why, because they speak Arabic, right? And I'm from Sudan as well,
Whereabouts in Sudan?
I'm from an old city called Durman, just if you guys know about the River Nile. I born just like few meters from the River Nile, where actually the White Nile meet the Blue Nile. I am from that city called Durman, and used to be the capital before the British come and moved it to Khartoum. Why? Because the people of Durman, they fought hard. And they say, okay, we don't like you, let's move this capital to another city, which is just across the River Nile, which is now the capital of Sudan, is Khartoum, which is, we call it Khartoum, right? Yeah.
And can you talk a bit about music making when you were a little kid? What kinds of things did you do or were you born making music, or did you learn it in school? Was it a combination of the two?
Hey, Scott, I used to have like private teacher, they used to come to my home. Of course not. It's a great question, by the way. A lot of us, as a musician, I can say, like with a lot of confidence, I can say my first private teacher was in nature. Like what I heard from birds, from animals, from trees, wind, and any sound, right?
Can you give an example of? I know you.
Like those sounds, you hear them, right? As a child, is music to your ear, right? And at the same time, the community, like everyone is your teacher. Like we don't have that kind of privilege of like I'm going for my music lesson, piano lesson. No. Your eye and your ear is like your everything. You sit in front of somebody like Scott playing a fiddle or playing a violin, you just watch. You stare at them like that, and your ears, and you collecting information organically. And when you project, I think you project something like really amazing, because I think we kind of neglecting, even I'm teaching in university level, but kind of neglecting that natural way of learning in an oral and organic way. This is how I learn actually, from everybody, from my elders. My mom, she's singing, she's not a professional. You don't have to learn from a professional singer. But in Africa, like a lot of people drumming, a lot of people singing, and also a lot of people chanting. And that's actually very much your private lesson for free. You don't pay for a private lesson. And when I was teaching private, sometimes I feel guilty. Like when I'm charging my student, I say, "Oh my God, I never paid for any private lesson." I mean, even when I went to school, it was a scholarship. But that's how you collect your information in your early childhood, and then you get inspired, and then also musician and the one higher level, they see you're interested of learning more. They take you to gig. You carry the instrument, you carry the guitar and walk with them. You watch them again. Like just owning a guitar, it's like, when I was a child, it's like owning an airplane. Yeah. Seriously, like just like that. I remember I used to make my own guitar. You know what we use for a string? In the old days, not these days, the tire, the old one, we burn them and there's a string inside, not anymore. Everything has become plastic now. I don't know if you guys remember that. The tire, they used to make them with the string inside, this rubber. And we used to burn, we used to go and hunt for like the old one, and then we burn it. Could you imagine like smelling, and then you take it out, you clean it, and you make it a string to make a guitar. I used to make my own, right? And the tuning, we don't have like, again, like I'm using very high tech here, like tuner and guitar, and I have a pickup and I have everything. No, you just tune by what you hear. And a lot of pentatonic.
Right. Yeah.
You will love it, this guy. Like you will love it. A lot of pentatonic, a lot of just 5 notes. And yeah.
Can you remember some of the early songs that you would sing?
Yeah. Like the stuff. I also, one of my, I call it one of my university. I grew up beside a Sufi center. I don't know if you guys know what the Sufi is. Sufism is a way to worship, but they use a lot of singing and drumming, and to some other kind of religious Sunni, they will think that's not the way to do things. They don't really like. But I grew up, as an African, we use drum a lot. And to praise the Prophet and to do that, what you do, you play rhythm and you chant. Like stuff like. This is one of the very, I used to, why is just a chant, you praising the Prophet and you praising Allah, God, with a lot of drums. And the rhythm, they call it Noba rhythm. And that Noba rhythm, I'm writing a book about rhythm. It's funk. You hear a lot of like backbeat, like an R&B, you hear a lot of hip hop, but also you hear a lot of funk. And the rhythm goes like this. Maybe I should play drums instead of. Like a backbeat, right? لا إله إلا الله محمد يا رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد يا رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد يا رسول الله إلا الله محمد يا رسول الله. And if you hear the beat, those people playing the drums, like there is a like variety of different percussion. When you listen to them together, it's almost like you listen to Motown 70, 60 like song. It's like you listen to James Brown, or you listen like to Otis, or you listen to Marvin Gaye, or those, like the backbeat is like unbelievable. Yeah, this is one of my very early time, because when I start like knowing rhythm, I was really in my early childhood. And then sometimes in Africa you just go, like you don't need an elder to take you there. The life was very safe. Like I used to go there. My family, they told me since I was like 3, 4, 5, because the drums. I was fascinated by the drums, and then the elder, they see me, I'm really interested on that. They will give me drums. Oh, come, try this. And they will surprise when they give me, because I already absorb, right? When, as a child, when you absorb by hearing on sight, is almost like you become like a brain playback, and they will be surprised, then they let you then play with them. Then they allowed me to lead sometimes the rhythm because I was the youngest, usually always led by an elder. But when they see like a child like really outstanding, sometimes they put, just to honor that skill, they put you in the front to lead the halqa, which is the halqa. Sometimes, if you see the dravish, they call them, you see an 8-year-old, 8 years, you see them twist and like with 1 feet as like 16-year-old, because they get the spirit, get them, and with the drums they become so light. And I witnessed that. I witnessed like 90 over 90, close to 100, elder, like they will dance and do that. And actually that's probably what saved them and what make them, age in a very healthy way. Yeah.
So I want to ask you about what brought you from Sudan to Canada, but I wonder if you would sing a song before that.
All right. I wrote this song in the COVID with a friend of mine. She was down, and when that COVID time hits a lot of artists, because they're very sensitive, they get a little bit depressed, and everybody was down, and I was in her kitchen, she was cooking, and we are talking, and she got a guitar and piano, and I just grabbed the song called We Will Rise. The time will pass, phase will ease like a breath, and we will rise. That time will pass, phase will ease like a breath, and we will rise. Hand in hand, heart to heart, thought to thought, with one spirit. Hand in hand, heart to heart, thought to thought, with one spirit. Insieme giunto ensemble, junto insieme, giunto ensemble, junto. يلا يلا نكون مع بعض، يلا يلا نعالج الصعب، ايد فوق ايد بزيل الكعب، وحب وعدالة في كل بلد. يلا يلا نكون مع بعض، يلا يلا نعالج الصعب، ايد فوق ايد بزيل الكعب، وحب وعدالة في كل بلد. كوديكا تونجي، كوديكا تونجي، كوديكا تونجي، كوديكا تونجي، كوديكا تونجي، كوديكا تونجي.
Beautiful. What a lovely gift that song was.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if you know Mary Lou. She adapted, and I'm producing series of songs called Songs for Humanity.
Okay.
And she chose it to be one of the album, but it's a little different arrangement.
Okay.
With a lot of percussion and full actually horn line, and actually there is a violin play as
Nice.
well. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, in that. Yeah.
So when did you come to Canada? It was sometime in the 90s?
1991.
And what was the circumstance, or what brought you here?
Good question, because I hear there is beautiful people and they're very nice and polite. That's what I hear. Seriously, I used to live in Sweden, and then I went to Sweden with the band just to play. I was playing a drum kit with an African band and also balimbo marimba. And I come to New York. I work out scholarship, full scholarship. I'm a swimmer as well, guys. You know, swimming and music. And at Columbia University, I thought, you know, Columbia University is everything, but I didn't get what I really want. It just was a big name for me. And New York was a little rough because I come from a war country. I'm from Sudan, you know, and you know, as a human, you really seek like a peaceful place, you know. Even I've got a chance there to stay, I've got a chance to learn for free and also to get just paid to go to school. But I couldn't handle it. There's a lot of rough situation around, and there is a lot of racism, you know, in particular, and there is a lot of segregation inside the university between European, white, and black, and Spanish. Anyway, it was just not what I was really looking for. And I quit, and I arrived here in 1991 as a refugee. I applied because also, you know, Sudan, probably if you put in Google Sudan, you will see like the longest civil war in the planet. We're always at war. If you ask me why, Waleed, I have no answer. And just by being from Sudan, and also I used to play with a band called Aqd Jalad, which was the top band in Sudan, and we sing a lot of political songs. And they arrested. They were thrown in jail. And that was my story for my claim as a refugee. And I get accepted. You know, I come, and Toronto became a home for me since 1992. I lived in Toronto more than I lived in my own homeland. And I'm very biased to Toronto, and I lived in Queen in Parkdale. A lot of diversity there, and also a lot of artists. And it just become home to me, you know.
Was it easy for you to find a community when you got here, or were there difficult times at the beginning?
You know, I love the question because somebody just asked me a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, man, it's so hard. It was hard when you come here? Of course hard, because now you don't need, Google can tell you what to do. Boom, 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 Uncle Google, what should I go? What should I do? What should I wear? What should I eat? You know, but when I came here, like, it wasn't no Facebook, no internet, it wasn't that, like, you know. It wasn't romantic, I have to be honest. It wasn't like just to get a job. And also 1991, guys, 92, that was a recession. Mr. Maroney, you know, the only prime minister get fired, right? And Kim Campbell, she covered for him, but she didn't succeed. Was a recession in Canada, and no, it wasn't easy. Just to navigate my way around was hard. But again, I always think, this is my philosophy, I always think African, they build differently. They can survive. And they know how to strive, and they know how to improvise in life and make things happen. You know, I think that's my own philosophy, but I think become a reality to me. I used to pass. My first job, I used to be a bike messenger. I'm just thankful for the good health and good body, you know. I was a bike messenger. Do I know addresses? No. I take my load and I ask people on the street. And of course, you gotta love this city because I've got to say this truthfully, maybe close your ears. Canadian, extremely helpful individual. Like, I feel like we have an amazing people in this city. Very intellectual and very helpful, and also very polite.
Mm-hmm.
I will just show the envelope. Where is this address? They will tell me what to do. That was my first job as a bike courier, bike messenger. I used to bike all over this. This is way before Uber, before with the walkie-talkie. Sometimes you hear, sometimes you don't hear. And yeah, I kind of navigate my way, and then I bask in a subway. I bask at Harbourfront, saving some money, paying for my courses. One thing I'm proud of is I never get a loan or anything from the government. I paid my own courses from my own pocket. That's something I'm really proud of, because I decide, that's the way, because if I pay for it, then I feel the hardship of it. It's my money, I've got to learn something. Yeah. But was tough, yeah. Was way tough. Like, to get information was tough. Sometimes they send you to the office and you travel all the way to Lawrence, and then you are in the wrong office. Then they say, we'll send you back again to downtown. It was tough. Now it's easy, I think. Yeah.
Another song?
Yeah, of course.
And then,
yeah.
then I want to ask you about some musical questions. So,
I'm going to do Bora, B-O-R-A. The word mean bitter. And Tuyamini Bora, we believe in the best. We believe in the goodness of people. With a lot of madness and craziness around the world, I find always there is amazing also people. There is it seems like the good stuff doesn't travel fast as the bad stuff. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of great things happening, but we don't see it because even social media, they don't promote it because it doesn't sell. But if you do crazy stuff and you put it on social media in a minute or in an hour, you have like thousands of views. And I always, when I see something, I always think about the beauty. There is another side we don't see. I'm going to play the guitar in a way, a style of music from the mountain of Angazana called Waza. Waza. Waza is a horn of a cow. Sorry. A different horn, and when you hear them, you hear a lot of different sound. They don't tune. Seems like I eat lunch and still is it. Oops. Yeah, and when you hear the harmony and the rhythm of that style of music, the most beautiful orchestral horn line. Like, you will find 5 of them, they do one, and then another group of horn, there was a and that is like almost like a horn line, like arranging for a big band. But they're doing it organically without knowing. If you ask the person, what note is this? Is this C? Is it no? They won't even know because that's not their business. The business is to get the sound, a beautiful sound out of this instrument and to project the rhythm. And I'm going to play that style much as I can. And again, the word called Bora. Bora, we believe in the best. Tuyamini Bora. we believe in the better. Tuliamini katika wema wa watu. We believe in the goodness of people. Abinadamu, we have humanity, and that's what the song about. And please feel free if you want to clap, if you want to do whatever, Okay. Bora, 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 tuyamini bora, tuyamini bora, tuyamini bora, tuyamini bora, tuliamini katika wema wa watu, tuliamini katika wema wa watu. Wina benda, obina benda, obina benda. Laragina gudu magina de, maragina zudum. Alagina bugum, zagadina bugum, anadina mugum, laradina bugum, laradina mugum, laradina no, aki, tumangi, Thank you.
Have some water.
Thank you. You are so kind.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks a lot.
That's great. What are the sources of your vocal lines when you write a song? I mean, you sing in a very particular style, and where do you think that comes from in terms of the melodies that you write?
If you guys hear me, I'm doing this line, right? Like, I'm like picking the D, which is almost, this is that, like if I have a Canadian guitar player, a white dude will play this, right? But what I'm doing here, I'm trying to get, I always try to visualize, and also what sound I can get in this instrument will be sound like a traditional. And the beat will be like this. And this is exactly how that was. And almost, if you look at it, if you want to investigate musically, it's like the perfect motif and the perfect horn line, the perfect rhythm, and the perfect melody and motif you can. And usually in an African music, you don't hear like almost like 16 bars of phrase of melody. No, most of the music, because based on people singing, call and response. Like when you make music, you don't make it individually. Always you make music for a group of people to sing. And when you write this, and then in your question, where that come from, the vocal come from all this area. Like all the scale here, right? But in an African way, you cannot say scale, right? You're trying to put different mode. Like, you know what mode mean? Mode mean like
It's like a scale, but it's not a scale.
But it's not a fully scale as
Yeah.
how the Western music interpreted scale, right? And also you hear sound from nature, and you hear and again, like, because everybody sing, maybe somebody will sing the line, this line, Bora, some Bora, 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 and there is no flat or sharp. Sometimes you hear the most magnificent, amazing harmony, but they really mean harmony, no. They just sing because it's inclusive, right? We don't have that, the culture of like, you cannot sing, no. You are in a halaqa, which is you are in a center now, you are with people, like, hey, everybody sing. Everybody like sing, participate without like no hesitant. Like, you just project whatever you have, you're gonna offer. Whatever you have, you're gonna just offer to the people, which is makes the culture, like when you hear song and music, you hear a lot of melody, and you hear also a lot of type of vocalization, you know. And again, you hear nature, you hear wind, you hear sound of water, you hear birds, you hear a lot of animals as well. And that's the music. That's the music. The music like almost live around the neighborhood, whatever way you know, like say Parkdale is Omdurman, like there is a lot of course, like Sudan is not green as Toronto or as Canada in general. Like we have a lot of dry, but also we have something called haboob like sandstorm. That sandstorm have also sound, you know. Sometimes at night you hear like a lot of different animals. You don't know even what that is. That wolf? What is it? Is it dog? Is it, you know, you hear a lot of sound because we don't, you know, there is not a lot of cars and a lot of trucks around, right? You hear like the nature like really clear. And I think that when you get accustomed to those kind of sound, those sound become part of your vocalization, you know.
It's the environment,
The
total
environment around
environment,
you
right?
shape the way you sing sometimes. Yeah.
This is a large question, but we've been kind of exploring music and spirituality in different ways. And how do you make a difference between sacred and secular music in your music making, or is there a spiritual element to everything you do?
Honestly, I think all the music is very ritual. I don't really separate, you know. Like, you know, I've been in singing with a lot of different, like I invited one time to play with the Tibetan monk, you know. I don't know why I play bass, they wanted bass. I don't know why. And I played the whole night long, 2 hours in D major, you know. And I played like, I swear to like 3 notes, and I get well paid for that, and I felt so bad. But I learned so much. Being humble is not about like you running your bass, or, you know, it's not about a lot of notes and being fun. It's just you offer the right, you know, note and the right rhythm. And people in the hall like completely silence for 2 hours. You can't hear nothing. This guy will hum, will do like what monk do, and with me and a guy in a shoot, and then there is a couple of traditional Tibetan instruments, string instrument. That was my highest thing I ever did in my life, you know. And I'm not a Buddhist, right? But I'm just like, wow, it's only in Toronto. You can invite a Muslim dude to play in a, with a monk. You cannot do this only in Toronto, because, just a beautiful, safe place. And I think also art is very safe form, safe platform. This is why I said, you know what, it is a love song, or if, as long as you are not insulting and you are not doing violence, I think any song is ritual. Yeah, any song is rich. Like where I come from, like people, like this is a mosque and there is a shop and they will plus like, I don't know if you remember the cassette, sex machine, the whole night, and nobody says nothing because nobody even understands, but even the imam probably he's digging it and he's real, I remember that very well, like he just, I think all the form of music is deep. Yeah. I don't really separate, I just sang that song from the chant from the Sufi is praised in Allah and the Prophet Muhammad. And I don't feel like I shouldn't do that, no. That's me, that's my own philosophy. Right. I think, and also one of the things I think we don't do a lot, we don't talk, we don't connect. And I think using music as a platform can bridge a lot of gap, can bridge a lot of way, like for you. I know by the end of tonight, I might meet some of you and we know. And I think music is very safe way, like to introduce culture.
Totally. Yeah. You mentioned call and response traditions. Do you have a call and response song that we might be able to?
Yeah, I do. I have a lot of those. Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah. Okay.
Could you get us singing a little bit?
I would love that. I was going to do it now.
Okay. Oh no. Okay.
There is a word in Sudan in a lot of different places called gumbe. Gumbe means gum, get up. We use it for encouragement. When they say gambe, like it's a word of like, hey, let's go. Like hey, like if you are in a game, hey, let's go, let's do it. It's almost the same kind of way. And the word is gumbe. That's a note, right? And if you guys help me out, the word gumbe, and this is a rhythm. Gumbe, hey gumbe, all what I need from you. Gumbe, hey gumbe, gumbe, hey gumbe, gumbe, hey gumbe. Can I hear you? Gumbe, hey gumbe, gumbe, hey gumbe. Lady, can you go up? Gumbe, hey gumbe. You can go up, right? Gumbe, hey gumbe, and you can even go up. Gumbe, hey gumbe, right? We can have three parts. Gumbe, hey gumbe, right? What? Gumbe, hey gumbe. Yep. Gumbe, hey gumbe. Lara pika sundungum. Gumbe, hey gumbe. Halara kina suntumbum. Gumbe, hey gumbe. Lara tingundum page. Marakadina do la darina day wana mari gazinga do gum asekuntumbuka Allah santin kum kum kum. Maka Alec. Oh, Maraka Sidda Tumbe. Hey, Gumbe. Thank you. There is a lot of that, right? You know, it just, they will care like almost they become the response, and then you build, and they go, you know, from person to person to offer whatever, so you can do whatever. Some people, they just sustain, or some people, they will, you know, do whatever again, sound from nature. Some people, they might offer, you know, anything. And honestly, I think that's probably, I would call it very much freestyle in hip hop. Organic one before this hip hop arrived to, you know, to North America. Yeah.
So when did the courier job go and the music was more full-time for you?
I was doing both. I was like, you know, I was basking a lot, you know, and one of my favorite time to bask around Christmas. Canadians, they're so generous around Christmas. Christmas time, I bask. And at the same time I was playing, then I started playing, you know, I got people just passing by, hey man, like you play guitar, you play that, you play, sometimes I play drums, sometimes I play la kumbe. I'm so, you know, sorry, I was gonna bring some of my other instruments. For some reason I thought I put it in my guitar pocket, but you know, it seems like I forgot. But in 1993, I joined a band, you know, and I was a drummer for the band, drum kit. You know, we started gigging a little bit, and then then I think one of the guy, he got a job somewhere, and then kind of like we got busy in our life. But then from there I started playing a lot with a lot of different bands, you know, early 90s, you know, was a lot of reggae band, R&B band, you know, a lot of African band as well, and then also a lot of Indian band. Yeah. And
Indian bands?
A lot of Indian bands.
What would you play in those?
I used to play bass.
Okay.
I used to play bass. I don't know if you know Ravi Limpali. Ravi, you know him? He teaches at York. Yes. He's a professor at York. And I started playing with him with Semida. You know Semida? Yeah. With Semida, I started playing with them bass, sometimes guitar. And also I started playing with a lot of East European, you know, band as well, you know, in Bloor Village. It was just, things just happened naturally, you know, and also, you know, I'm just lucky, I'm blessed to have, you know, people calling me for gigs. This is why I'm very big in diversity, because part of my early playing, I used to play with a lot of different, you know, group of people from different parts of the world. Yeah, yeah.
So that doesn't translate. We were talking before the formal part of this just about music education, and I know you're a teacher.
Yeah.
And you teach privately, but you also teach in institutions.
Yeah. And
you were saying you're a little disappointed in a way that music doesn't play a bigger role in the public schools, and that there isn't opportunities for young people to get into music, maybe the way you got into music, you know, more naturally rather than, as you say, to have to shell out for lessons.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised. One, why? Because it's Toronto. You know, this is a very rich city. And in high school, there is a lot of high school, they don't have music program. I mean, and also some of the high school, they don't have even a music instrument. You know, and sometimes when I go to different school, you know, Danny, the guy who used to be, God rest his soul in peace, used to be the head of the Amber music program. Like they used to send us, myself, sometimes we stay at Queensland, like we go to different high school, we talk about the importance of music. And when we ask the student, the kids, how you guys doing with they will say, no, we don't have anything. And in a big high school. Mm-hmm. And I was totally surprised, versus, I said I lived in Sweden, right? Did I say that? I lived in Sweden for 2 years. Every school have a music program from kindergarten all the way to high school. And the music is really big part of the school. And if you look to students from Scandinavia, from Sweden, from Finland, from Norway, from Denmark, if you look, where they are in science, in math, they are the top. But the music have a huge part. And science showing, like music is really can open different part of your brain, because there is a lot of math, there is a lot of science, there is everything in music. Like, when I say, it's just 2 chords, right? Just C to B flat, but there is a lot of science, there is a lot of math. 1, 2, 3, 4, that actually can open different part of your brain, and make you think advanced, and also make you think more, and I'm totally, I have 2 kids, not kids, one of them is like 20 something, because in Africa 20, we don't call them kids when they come 20 years. But I have also 12-year-old. And the 12-year-old, up till now, he did not have any music class. And it just, I think, extremely important. Music can save a lot of children from a lot of, stuff they can, because if you get the kids from early age to learn a violin or a drums or a guitar or a bass or a flute, they're going to be busy. Believe me, they're going to be at home, they're going to be wanted to be busy, they're not going to be looking for any trouble. Instead of investing the money in a different places, I'm not going to mention because I'm not. But we put money in a lot of different places, the wrong places, instead of putting money in education and especially in art. This is like just to be, in this setting now for me is an honor and it's a privilege like to be, and I'm so glad because of this. I can talk to you, and I think it's very important. It's very important. Music is a beautiful platform, can save the soul actually. Yeah.
Trichy Shankaran, Suba's dad,
Suba's dad, yeah.
did a concert for us in November, and he said the simplest thing, music is rhythm, and rhythm is life.
Right. Yeah.
And it just kind of
True.
blew my mind a little bit that it's such a simple concept, but it really hits home. Yeah. What are you most? We're coming to the end of our time, but
really?
We don't have to. What are you most excited about these days in terms of your music making and your life in music here in Toronto?
You know what I'm really excited about now? I think people supporting live music a lot more than, because I thought when the DJ arrived to clubs and stuff, you don't see people going out for live music. And for me, because I gig a lot as well, even I'm teaching, part of my joy to go and play live in front of people. I love to entertain people. And I seen like really now, after the COVID, one of the things I love about it, a lot of people coming to see live music, and also a lot of people donate. Like I've got a couple of friends, they only just spend money for going to life, but for almost all donate to art organization. And I think that's a really unique way. If we take individual kind of power and turn it to to the village, that excites me actually. Something like this really excites me. Like this setting, this is really a beautiful gathering. Anything with people excite me. Yeah.
Will you play one last song, and then maybe if you're okay to stay around for a little while, people may have questions sort of informally, but I think we'll end our formal time together. But Waleed, before you do play a song, I want to thank you for being here. I just met you last year, but it's great to know you and to have this connection. And I'm so glad you came to St. Thomas's tonight.
Thanks a lot, man. This means a lot to me. And to honor the gathering, I just did a commission by the Guelph Youth Choir. I did a huge workshop for them. I've been commissioned a lot from a lot of different professional choir in Canada, by writing a song. And they will say, Waleed, could you write a song not in English? And that actually really excites me as well. What do you want? Like, we just write it in any African language. And I wrote this one called Bamoja in Swahili. Bamoja means together. The word Bamoja, you hear that, in Kwanzaa celebration. One of the principles for Kwanzaa celebration. Pamoja mean together. Inukini watu yangu. We gotta rise up and we gotta stand for, the beauty of our society. And simamia haki yako, that in Swahili mean let's stand all together and do something meaningful. And sheka Afrika imuni mwako, and also keep Africa in your heart. Why I choose that line? It just Africa we're always in trouble. Like I'm from Sudan, right? All my childhood, what I remember war. But also I look to the beauty of the society, and the environment where I grew up is so beautiful. And there is a lot of problem around, and also like a place like Sudan where I come from, we speak over 300 different dialects and languages. And you can imagine every 5 kilometers there is a different ethnic group. And you can imagine when the British want to colonize Sudan, they have to divide. Maybe we were the first African country to get independent in 1956, Sudan and Ghana. But even the British left, but we never have peace, like we always at war. And make you wonder, at the same time, Sudan probably one of the richest countries in the planet. Even this Ukrainian war between Russia, that's financed by the gold coming from Sudan to Russia. And Russian airport, like airplane coming, landing at night and taking gold and leave. And place, if you Google a place like Congo and Sudan, you will be amazed. Congo, the same thing. The same problem, right? Why? Because they got everything as well. Even this cell phone, you have it, there is a piece there. Come from the Congo. If it's not Congo, they would have no cell phone. This is why I don't use cell phone. I never use cell phone in my life. And it just, I remember I write music also for TV and for documentary and for film. I wrote the music for, I don't know if you guys know Patrice Lumumba. You know who is this? Patrice Lumumba. You remember him? He used to be the president of Congo, Zaire, before Mobutu. Mobutu brought to power by the Belgium. And one of the things I remember in the documentary struck me because I'm from Sudan. When he used to go in a market and tell people, we need change. This is not the life. We are the richest. He used to say that the 2/3 of the wealth of the world is in Congo and Sudan. That's what he used to, that's one of his lines. And now growing up and looking and see the resource, yeah, I mean, like, this is probably one of the 2 poorest country by the Western standard. But if you look deep, what they have, like in Sudan, we got gold, we got uranium, we got agriculture, we got cows, like anything you can imagine. Anything you can imagine. And we are not very populated country. We are like probably just below 50 million. And even with that, like there is struggle like for people to get like just 3 meals a day. Imagine like then. This is why I put that line, keep Africa in your heart, which is in Swahili, sheka yo Afrika imiuni mwangu. Yeah. And I'm gonna invite you to sing with me one line. Okay, and it goes like this. Pamoja, 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 inikuni watu yangu, inikuni watu yangu. Sheka Afrika imiuni mwangu. Now you pamoja, together pamoja, more louder, pamoja, one more time. Simamia haki yako, simamia haki yako. Sheka Afrika imiuni mwangu. Pamoja, I want to hear you. Pamoja, there is a J-A. Together, pamoja, one more time. Imamia haki yako, simamia haki yako. Sheka Afrika imiuni mwangu. Pamoja, pamoja, pamoja. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So please stay and say hello if you'd like, or if you have questions. I'm sure Waleed would love to meet you. So
For sure, yeah.
thank you again. It's great.
Yeah, Bebop, yeah. You have a CD of them? Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah, they were amazing.
They come here, I think, one time. I don't remember when, but they came here one time.
Yeah, no, they're good.
Hi, how are you guys? No, I'm from Sudan. I'm from Sudan, yes. I'm from Omdurman, the old town, Omdurman, yes. The old capital before the British moved it to Khartoum. Yeah.